What's good, everybody? It's Batman, and we're gonna be checking out a debate that just occurred. It's Ken Rock versus Shinobi. I got my boy Jay the Great here, as always. You guys know the
Yes,
vibes.
sir.
You know who he is. Make sure to check out his YouTube. Link will always be down in the description down below, or just in the video title. And also, he has some two recent bangers lately. He did a collab with Thunder God, so make sure to check that out. It's
Yes,
pretty
sir.
pretty awesome. That thing they discussed of like if Sage Naruto was at the five Kage summon like Sasuke, so it's a pretty good topic. The second thing was making a Itachi versus Pain video,
Yep,
and
me and Shinobi. Yeah, I think both videos are great. Shout out to Thunder God for giving me the opportunity as a goat for that. Yeah, I think me and him had a great discussion on that. And there's another video we just did today. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to let him drop that, but look forward to that as well. So,
ooh, look at that, we got another one
yeah.
coming through. So, but you guys already know the vibe. So there's all kinds of goated shit going on in Jay's channel right now. So if you guys want to play the catch up game and check it out, definitely by all means.
Yes, sir.
But anyways, we're gonna be getting into this video, and it's so me and Jay already gave our verdict on it.
Yeah.
And we basically said Shinobi won. It did have a lot of contentious value. I'm just gonna put out the obvious real quick.
Yeah, I did.
So it was a pretty good debate. It was solid. It wasn't a one side or a slam or anything like that. The beginning was the most contentious, but I do feel
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Shinobi slightly got it over, or it was just stalemated. So meaning really, the KCM2 shit kind of just goes out the window. Because in my subjective view, the only way for Ken to really get this W is if he won the KCM2 scaling. Like
Yeah.
if we're being honest here, like you only really are gonna win with the Minato debate if you're able to get him to KCM2 scaling or get him in the Hashirama and moderate tier, because that's almost like very extremely hard to argue for fucking someone like Itachi and Pain with what we have so far. You know,
Exactly, and even like the Itachi versus Obito section, Shinobi won that, and that would override the KCM2 anyway because he had
yeah,
Minato at KCM2 level, and Shinobi did pretty well at establishing teenage Obito, and then his interaction with Itachi and all that.
yeah.
So yeah, he won that.
Basically in a simple sense what Jay just said in a nutshell, it'd be a blatant contradiction. So
Yeah,
even if
exactly.
Ken somehow got it, which it would only be slightly, by the way, if he did. But I've already reviewed it twice myself at the beginning portions, and I still think Shinobi either got it slightly over, or if we're bare minimum just a stalemate, like I said. But that's basically what you're working with. And even if that went through for Ken's favor, then Shinobi kind of just definitely gets the Itachi and Obito shit and all that.
Yeah,
And then there's eventually a segment of fucking talking about sick Itachi and alive. And
yeah,
basically, if sick Itachi is not weaker than alive, which was absolutely baffling to me. But either way, it's a debate. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Even if something could be, blatantly obvious, that's the whole point of debates, and it's up to the other person to either clearly stop the bullshit or not. So,
exactly.
but we're gonna get into it. It's already an hour and 30 minutes, so this is gonna be a long recording. Hope you guys enjoy the ride. Get your popcorn, your drinks, snacks, and we're gonna get into it. Hope you enjoy.
Sure. Recording. So whenever you guys are ready, you guys can start.
Okay. So my scaling is basically going to be Minato is greater than Pain, who is greater than Itachi.
Okay, should I post the scans again, I suppose?
You can
or
hear it and
do
everything,
you,
right, Joe?
You're already there, honestly,
Yeah.
so...
Okay, cool.
You can repost them if you want. Not necessary, but
Okay.
I say repost them. That way, Jay knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Alright, so I just posted 2 scans on several occasions where opponents of Minato in the past, during the Second Shinobi World War, fought against Minato and saw the caliber of the speed, essentially. And this is referred to in the War Arc with the Raikage, and Tsunade as well, and then B as well during the after the Turtle Island training, essentially. So you have a couple instances of people who've actually fought Minato, refer to his speed as such, putting Minato relativistic to speeds of KCM1 Naruto.
Like a dumbass. So right there and then, already a minute through, Shinobi's already providing plenty of reference points and examples of Minato being on the scaling of KCM1, of many characters directing and correlating him to that level. That's already initially going on, like right off the whip, by the way. So we'll put that
Exactly.
As we saw in the war arc, Nagato was able to react to opponents of that caliber with his animal summoning. So meaning that Minato wouldn't have the edge, at least in terms of speed, to defeat Nagato. So I don't know if you have any other ways of validating how he would, but feel free.
This ad bullshit. What the fuck is this?
What the fuck is this horseshit?
Okay, so my first problem with that, and I might have to repeat a little bit just because a little bit went over my head because it was hard to follow. Because you talked about
and really quick, guys. Shinobi said in a simple consensus is with all the Minato to KCM1 blah blah. And then we see a direct like correspondence with Nagato and how he's able to deal with KCM Naruto very easily. Yada yada. Basically, he said in a nutshell like you have that, and then Itachi it would be no different. That's where he's kind of going along with the path.
Yeah.
DNA who were able to fight with that KCM to be like relative. The problem with that, or would know Minato's strength, the problem with that is the fact that they fought a Yoni Minato. So they want to be up to date on what Hokage Minato would be able to be, like Kakashi would be. Who does flat.
So what Ken's doing right now is very, very good. This is what you want to do, because you could easily start off like saying, oh, fucking Minato's just, that's referring to Jonin Minato, meaning Hokage Minato is more stronger. And as long as Ken is able to deliver on that notion that Hokage Minato is way more stronger, then this can definitely be beneficial and then turn over the debate, and then Shinobi's fucked, right? Well, that's the problem. Does he really deliver on that or not? We'll get into it. So, but that is a good direction to go into for Minato. That is very good. So.
Yeah, that establishes ambiguity in the premise of Shinobi by saying, Hokage, the Raikage only knew of Jonin Minato, and Hokage Minato is most likely stronger, so the validity of his claim is questionable. It's basically what he's doing. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Minato states that like KCM2 Naruto is like relative to like Minato, and to further back this up, Minato is able. Not only does he call Obito a bigger threat than that of the Nine-Tails, but he's also able to fight the full Nine-Tails himself, who should be as strong as KCM2 Naruto would be. The reason being because regular Naruto, at least in his stage mode, should be like relative to like half the Nine-Tails. And we know the Nine-Tails has lost like half of his power because it's lost half of his entire beef. So that would mean that KCM2 at this point, which would be both their powers combined, should be relative to the full Nine-Tails.
I mean, you could easily say that Naruto plus half of Kurama would be as strong as Kurama himself. So saying that Kurama would be relative to power to KCM2 Naruto is not analogous because, again, it's an amalgamation of Naruto plus Kurama's chakra to make him the caliber of Shinobi he is. So without you having a way to properly quantify the power levels, I can't really disregard that as factual.
I don't think KCM1 would be that alone. Just because KCM1 is like.
So before we even continue it further from there, so this is going to go on for a good bit. So that's why I just want to tackle this really quick because it just kind of goes circular for a good while. Ken's main thing is fucking Kakashi says that Minato's KCM2 level, and we further see that with Sage Naruto combating against half the Nine-Tails power, and they were showing some form of relativity or whatever. And then basically Minato is fighting the full Nine-Tails or whatever. And then if we take Naruto's power and then combine that with the Nine-Tails power, which is when he's basically in the KCM2 form utilizing the full chakra, therefore that gives basically the exact power level of full Nine-Tails, which correlates to Minato. That's his entire fucking shtick. While Shinobi basically his refutation is, well, for one, that's really hard to prove because we don't know the exact quantification levels of anything. And even if someone, basically has relativity to the Nine-Tails or whatever, doesn't mean they have the exact same power level. Because, once again, in aspects of fighting, you can show relativity in certain aspects, but it doesn't mean you scale exactly to them in power or certain other aspects.
Exactly.
That's just blatantly what you work. And that's what basically Shinobi's giving. He's giving very, good speculation and just, basically under the process that it may make sense in a logical sense from what we're seeing, but is that actually true, and et cetera, et cetera. But do you have anything on that, Jay? Because they're basically going to go on that for a hot minute right after. So.
Yeah, so essentially Ken is saying that KCM2 is essentially the Nine-Tails plus Naruto, and that's his whole substantiation for the premise that KCM2 is equal to the full Nine-Tails. And Shinobi's refutation is that, well, you could just as easily say that the Nine Tails plus Naruto is the full Nine Tails, and it's hard to prove that that's analogous. And essentially, that KCM1 could just as easily be a premise for being equal to the full Nine Tails, and essentially having this battle of premises and trying to establish who can further prove their point better. So
Yeah, and it's just basically equal interpretations throughout until they provide more and more evidence eventually. But they're going to stay on this main point and just keep going around and around, and eventually provide more evidence to try to further substantiate both their claims. And that's basically what you're going to see from starting from this moment throughout for like the first, I think, dead ass 20 or 30 minutes. So I will pause when it's absolutely necessary, but just kind of want to put that out there. And most importantly, just some tips and tricks. Like if let's say I was in Shinobi's shoes or some shit, one thing you could easily say, if you actually analyze the fight between Seijima Naruto and Kurama, Seijima Naruto is actually getting bitched the whole time. If you actually really analyze the fight, he's getting bitched. There's only one time, or there's only a couple moments where he actually gets the advantage, and that's when his mom starts helping him, and then he summons like fucking crazy amount of fucking shadow clones, and then uses Sage Mode while he's sitting down meditating, which gives all of his shadow clones Sage Mode as well. And then he starts spamming massive Raisengans, and then fucking also did a Raisen Shuriken with the aid of his mom. But when he was in a 1v1 with the Nine Tails, Killer Bee had to save him because he was about to get blitzed in his base form by the Nine Tails' little baby fucking bullet Biju Bomb. And when he was in Sage Mode, fucking the Nine Tails literally speed blitzed him with its combat speed. Like, just fucking sends him and slams him on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, and starts mocking him like, do you really think you can beat me and shit, you know?
Yeah, the way I would have combated that, because Ken Rock he's simply implying that the more chakra you have, the more of the higher caliber of an individual would be. I would have said, well, there is actually, via proof by contradiction, instances where that's not the case. Kisame has the most chakra in the Akatsuki, and he's certainly not above Pain, nor Itachi, no Obito. So that whole premise is literally proven false via proof by contradiction, and Shinobi definitely would have taken it if he would have referenced that, but obviously so far he hasn't. And like Batman said, this point is somewhat circular. Refutation and the contentious argument is circular because no one really further substantiates, as you'll see. So
exactly, and that's really the problem, which is why it's kind of hard to gauge of who is really getting it for the most part. But then it goes on further, and that's just kind of much where, and that's another brilliant way of analyzing. An example from Jay's lens of view is Kasame's perfect example. We have actually many fucking examples. We have Kid Naruto, who has more fucking chakra than fucking Kakashi, yet that motherfucker is way more stronger, you know what I mean? But Kasame's even better because Kasame has the most fucking absurd amount of chakra, and literally at 30% fucking Kasame was going fucking relative to base Guy, but then overpowers him in the end. And does Guy have the exact, so basically saying like, what, do you think we should just say, oh, Guy has the exact fucking power as Kasame now? No, that makes no fucking sense. We know he doesn't. It's just blatantly stated that Kasame has way more fucking chakra. There's many factors in Naruto, and those factors are chakra control, those factors are intelligence, those factors are jutsus, etc., etc. There's many things that kind of takes into consideration when it comes to character versus A versus B, you know? So, once again, that's just the best way to kind of go about that, and you can just easily make this Ken's arguments go into shambles. But anyways, we're gonna stay focused, go on the debate, and that's basically what you guys can expect from here on out. So,
some of the Nine Tails chakra shelved, while KCM2 has Nine Tails like fully feeding his entire chakra pool to Naruto.
Yeah,
so the problem wouldn't be that full Nine Tails.
The problem
it
is
doesn't matter if it's quantifiable.
Well, the problem is we're saying should be in both instances, and so if we can't really have a valid, concrete consensus on this, then you would have to go to empirical data to validate your statement. But we can't do that. It's just an assumption nonetheless. So
are you assuming that if like half your being like stopped being a part of you, you would still be just as strong?
Are you referring to Kurama?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, ask that again. I'm sorry.
Are you assuming that if you lost half of your being, you would still be as powerful as you were before, or would you agree that you'd be like half as strong?
I mean, there's no real way to quantify that because Naruto.
Can you just answer the question, please?
I honestly
you believe it or you don't believe it.
I honestly can't say for sure is what I'm trying to get at. There's no way of saying for sure it is or isn't. What's the point?
It's a good point, right?
Yeah,
It's-
he's
you know,
trying to say that his assumption is baseless. Is basically what he's implying.
Yeah, it's like we can go all day, every day saying this shit.
Yeah.
You thinking slick?
Oh, here we go. Got fucking Hulu, baby.
Dumbass.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that it definitely would, because if you lost half your being, then you would have half your power, energy, and all that to work with. That's what would make logical sense. So unless you have like a reason why it wouldn't be, then we can deductively say that half Kurama would be half Kurama's power. And if Naruto matches that half, we can now obviously deduct that Naruto and Kurama should be worth the full Nine Tails, since they're relative, and their relativity should make up a missing half.
And what's saying that Pain wouldn't be able to take on someone like Minato, per se, in just in terms of raw, tangible assets?
Because he just flat out admits that like the Nine Tails is like more than he was expecting. And this is not even like the full half of the Nine Tails that Naruto has, which Minato should be able to deal with no problem.
As an Edo, yeah, perhaps. I mean, but you can't say that as a...
I'm sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, please.
Oh, go on. I was just gonna say, like, are you assuming like the Edo is like stronger?
No, I'm just saying, like, Edo Minato obviously had Kurama, so he was obviously stronger as an iteration than he was alive.
Well, I'm not talking about like KCM or Edo. I'm talking about like his alive state was able to deal with the Nine Tails. So it doesn't change too much.
Well, Minato obviously has his own unique arsenal with, like, sealing and things of that nature. Flying Rice sealed amongst the village, so he had a tactical terrain advantage as well as the inherent abilities, plus the genius hood to deal with Kurama. Also, he had Kushina's help in restraining him with the adamantine chains and things of that nature, so it had more context than him just taking him on one-on-one. And
So the problem
nonetheless,
with that is, because like we said before, that was a fatigued Minato. But that's irrelevant, because there's also a scene when he's like younger, like before like the war and all that, where he's able to like match blow to blow with not only the Nine Tails, but even in that like near weakened state, he's able to like steal the Nine Tails away with like no problem.
okay, so, I mean, yeah, I agree in terms of power. Like, he's relative to Kurama, but it doesn't
He was
matter.
also
if it's
able
not-
to get.
So I'm just gonna point this out really quick. Ken could have done a tremendously better job in this whole situation so far.
Yeah.
Because Shinobi came out with some basic refutations and whatnot, and then Ken's like, "Oh well, you know, he was still able to do this while nerf, whatever, blah blah." But it still doesn't defeat basically the current refutation Shinobi said when he's literally getting aided by Kushina and blah blah yada yada. Now the only thing that really doesn't matter that Shinobi did say was like all the beginning stuff, like the terrain, this and that, and yada yada yada. Because at the end of the day, if you don't scale to something, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what advantage you have. It doesn't matter what you know. You have to scale to that individual in order to fucking to be relevant, right? You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're just gonna die. You know, and be like Hiruzen or everybody else. You know, Hiruzen has all the fucking knowledge and et cetera, yet he's literally begging for his fucking life for Minato to save the day. So I just want to put that out there. But either way, what Ken should have done, and it actually would have made his whole thing way more stronger. As for Minato definitely scaling to the Nine Tails, or better yet, even over. Okay, is literally him having tons of feats reacting to it. He was able to react to the combat speed. He was able to react to its jutsu activation speed. He was able to do a lot of things against the full Nine Tails. So, what's it called? And the only time where he really starts getting aid is when he's kind of like extremely fucking fatigued and just had a death battle with Obito. And then Kushina like starts helping him. Mind you, he says he would actually was gonna deal with the Nine Tails himself, but then Kushina's like, no, don't worry about it. I got it. Let me help you. You know. So like, there's tons of ways Ken could have really actually gone about this if he just really analyzed the Nine Tails incident. This could have went way more strongly in its favor, but instead, unfortunately, he didn't. And then there's a lot of contentious value here, and then Shinobi just gets it more, or basically is already counteracting the claims that he's making in defense for Minato for the most part.
Yeah, how Ken could have won this point is he should have went beyond the. I think he's referencing the one shot. He should have referenced how Minato was able to legitimately in the astral plane at a fraction of his power go match AP of a partially developed PG bomb from a full Nine Tails as a teenager, and just upscale Minato that way and almost more definitively establish him above Nagato. But he didn't. All he brought up was a ceiling, which doesn't really prove that. But yeah, he definitely could have approached it better. Shinobi, to win this point with the whole Minato thing, he could have brought. Well, he did bring up the Kushina point. That was a good point.
Yeah,
He did
that one
bring
was
up,
good
like,
for him.
well,
Yeah.
he brought up like his arsenal against the Ninetales. What he should have kept approaching was the KCM2 versus Kurama comparison as well. He didn't do that very well. He like kind of let go of it.
Yeah.
Kenora didn't really substantiate it either, so it's like up in the air as who was correct there. They
Yeah.
both like substantiated just enough to make it contentious, but neither one like took the lead on that either. So it was that's why it was so close to us when listening.
Exactly.
This, yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically what you're working with. But I just want to kind of put that out there. But yeah, so let's continue.
Yeah.
Like to jump on the Ninetales to like teleport him. So he has
real quick. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. I'm pretty sure I'm correct in this too. But Ken never ever brings up the one shot ever. He said he did apparently. So I'm very curious. And Jay's seen this 3 times. So and Jay's still saying that was never done. So that never ever fucking happened, and the fact that he didn't use that exactly like what Jay was saying, whenever you name it, like that would just further substantiate and make Minato on a whole other fucking level. You know what I mean? Like if you go about it the right way. So
speed to deal with them, and again he matches like blow to blow, which means he was able to intercept his attack. So it's speed as well, it's not just power.
Well, attack speed isn't relevant to Kurama's combat speed, though, unless you can prove that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I'm saying his jutsu speed wouldn't be relevant to his combat speed.
Why wouldn't it? He'd have to launch his jutsu at his combat speed, otherwise.
Okay, like now right here, Ken does a horrible job. Like literally, what he's been saying in defense, like it was absolutely horrendous. It's like saying Sasuke's like Susanoo activation is the same as his fucking body speed and everything, which is clearly not the case because he literally needed Susanoo in order to survive from the Raikage. Otherwise, he would have died from V2. So like. With jutsu activation is way different upon your fucking stats when it comes to combat travel and you name it, all that shit. And then most importantly, Shinobi could not Shinobi, Ken could have easily once again won this if he just analyzed the entire Ninetales incident and actually showed literally the like objective evidence of like Minato having scaling to even the Ninetales combat speed and name it whatever. Like the Ninetales like fully strikes at Kushina to kill her and everything, with Bloodlust and you name it being controlled by Obito, and he just comes in there and scoops her and saves her effortlessly, and then looks back at Obito like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch. So like there's tons of examples and tons of scaling and statements to solidify the fact that Minato, you know, kind of scales in all regard. But once again, Ken doesn't do that, and what he does is actually just really, really bad. What Shinobi's doing is really, really good, because what he's doing is misconstruing the context, basically, and saying there's different levels of scaling, which that is correct. Called, but that's really good to do, because if Ken doesn't approach it correctly and show the contradictions and what he's saying, then Ken's going to be fucked and look really bad here. So
yeah, exactly. As far as activation time and combat speed, Shinobi's right, because when it comes to an attack being executed first, your synapses have to fire. That's the activation time, and then your body itself has to execute the jutsu. It's kind of like Minato. Yeah, like Minato with Flying Raijin. Yeah. Like people are like, oh, it's instantaneous. Like no, actually, it's not. The synapses have to fire in a certain amount of time to activate and execute the jutsu itself. So it's not just once. It's not that the activation time is the same as the jutsu's execution time. There's a small discrepancy there. You have to fire synapses first, and then your body reacts and starts to engage in combat. So Shinobi brought up a good point with that.
Very good. This is where he starts trying to basically getting more stronger when it comes to winning in this whole fucking scaling shit with Minato, the Ninetales, and KCM2 and yada yada.
That's your proof of burden. Honestly, it's not mine. You're saying that
if your jutsu activation speed isn't as fast as your combat speed, then you wouldn't have the speed to ever launch your jutsu.
That makes no sense, and that is blatantly not true. I don't even understand how that makes any sense at all. I'm not trying to be mean, and I know Ken will probably be watching this reaction, but that absolutely just makes no sense at all.
Yeah, it's not true. You have to activate, and then your body reacts.
Yeah, so your jutsu activation can be way quicker than your body speed, or you throwing a punch, etc., and you name it. Like that's just no. Oh, here we go. We got a guy with the fucking mustache and whatever the fuck this shit is. The fuck out of here. And everybody type in the comments as well and say it's Jay the Great's fault for all these fucking ads. Okay.
Yeah.
And like I'm talking about that they will jump in the way of like a tailed beast bomb to intercept it, which isn't anything to do with the jutsu itself. It's still just his speed.
Oh yeah, it's just reaction time, but it's your proof of burn to like quantify how fast that attack would be though,
It's the relative to the Ninetales.
and how fast is the Ninetales,
More than what Pain can deal with.
and what makes you say that? Because of the pain arc
In
invasion?
definition.
It's so ratty. I have to say that real quick. This is so easily debunkable, guys, and so
Yeah,
like
very.
it's so absolutely dishonest. But holy shit, now we start getting to ratty ass territory. Like to just sit here and say, "Oh, Pain scales below fucking half the Nine Tails because of like him being on his fucking deathbed, fatigued and shit." Like that's just insane to me. Holy shit.
Yeah.
In own admission.
Can you provide that statement?
Sure. I hope this is the right one.
All right, I think this takes a bit here, so I'm gonna skip it.
Yeah. Takes a minute, like 30 seconds or some shit.
Older Nagato #1 controlling it.
All right,
Plus he's
right here.
I had to confirm the extent of the Ninetales power, but I never imagined catastrophic planetary destruction wouldn't.
well again, this is a very very well fatigued Pain. This is like an older Nagato #1 controlling it. Plus he spent a plethora of time combating
Hold
people
on.
like
There's also this one right here. He dug himself out of the catastrophic planetary devastation, incredible power.
But this isn't a full power Pain though, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because Minato
Exactly.
could deal with this at a
Doesn't
similar exhausted state. So even an exhausted Minato is like greater than this
You
Pain.
can't quantify their fatigue levels, man.
I don't have to.
Yeah, you
Well,
do.
you kind of do. If you're correlating Minato's fatigue, to be
Minato
able
has
to-
the better feet, so it's irrelevant.
I mean that's your arbitrary calculations, but I'm not going to regard that. So
No, it's not. Pain fails.
Yeah. Yeah.
But either way, like that's kind of much work. But if you want to give your thoughts on that, Jay.
Yeah, so when it comes to that, it would be better for his premise to substantiate the fatigue levels. He just says I don't have to.
Yeah.
It would actually be better for his premise, so it kind of does. And then he refutes that about, well, Minato had the better feat anyway. And it goes back to the KCM2 versus Kuruma thing, which I don't think anyone really got the lead on that. So it's sort of like in the air whether Kuruma has been established to be equal to KCM2 Naruto. They both substantiate against each other's claims, and to me, no one really got that part. So yeah, that was the part that was the most contentious probably so far. So
Exactly. And that's basically what you guys are working with. It's very simple. I'm going to be honest, same could also apply for Shinobi. He also should have actually substantiated further on the fatigue difference he named, because if we actually analyze it, what's it called? Like, Pain is like fucking all the shit he did, and then to where the point where he's at, if anything, it's actually the contrary. It's actually very impressive that he's over here fucking Chibaku Tenseining half the power of the Nine Tails. And it took for the Nine Tails to go full transformation, sprouting 8 tails and then to 9 to fucking crawl out of this fucking Chibaku Tensei. And if Shinobi also did his homework, Nagato says, I'll just enlarge it. He deadass says, I'll just enlarge this shit. Alright, no worry.
Exactly.
While also on his fatigue and, fucking, you name it, and like horrendously fatigued. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like, you have all that, and then for Minato, what's it called? Like, you have all the stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, Minato's also like heavily fatigued as well by the point he's eventually getting when he's like, having to seal the Nine Tails. But then again, it can slightly look more better for Shinobi if he also brought up, because he does bring up Kushina had more help, or like was helping him and you name it. But if he even brought up like further on that, like substantiated that even further, like, oh well, look at this, Kushina's over here holding him down and helping and blah blah and yada yada, and then look at Pain, he's over here doing this shit by himself. You name it. So like, there's a way to like still convey it that like Pain just actually looks better in a sense, but once again, it boils down to whoever's better substantiating that and providing more.
Yeah, it really comes down to that. And KCM2 versus Kurama, no one really substantiated that like better than the other. Yeah, it was a very contentious part of the debate. So
that's just kind of what you're working with. But for the most part, that's basically what it is. But yeah, let's keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Those two.
If you have any other like,
Minato's able to defeat like the full Nine Tails.
if you have any other way to prove that Minato would beat Pain besides this arbitrary calculation?
It's not arbitrary. I don't need anything else. Minato deals with the Nine Tails twice, while Pain fails to do with it once. So that's irrelevant if you think it's arbitrary.
Minato has been referred to on multiple times to be KCM1 speed, in which Nagato was able to deal with an animal summoning.
He's only referred to that level by people who only know about his Jonin days. Well, someone like Itachi would know about his more later on because he was with him, and he just says he's KCM2 level.
You have to prove that Minato got faster as a Hokage, though.
That's basically what you're working with in a simple consensus, right there and then. There you go.
Exactly.
Now we're getting cut and dried to the juicy shit. That's really what should have happened right off the whip, if I'm being honest with you. But it took 9 minutes to get that far. That's
what Shinobi should have done from the beginning is he should have brought up the KCM1 and Minato, stating that that the Rikage's speed is now inferior to the Yellow Flash and stuff like that. That's what he should have brought up. That would have eliminated the KCM2 Kurama comparison too, but he didn't. He should have substantiated that.
Yeah, exactly.
Kakashi's statement kind of proves that.
That's just Kakashi's confusion. Obviously, it's not Minato that he's looking at. He even remarks Minato. He literally says Minato because he thinks it's Minato.
Yeah, because he's
obviously that indicates confusion. No, he's looking at an appearance of someone who looks like Minato, aesthetically wise as well as speed. Both these interpretations will negate each other if anything. So if there's nothing really valid to go on, then none of these statements go on.
Finish this up real fast.
Yeah,
you're saying that he's confused by like his appearance, but KCM1 looks very similar to KCM2, so it makes no sense that he'd be confused by that alone. So he'd be looking at more than just appearance. He'd be looking at like his speed and all that. He's specifically, and I can find the statement if you want, but he's specifically talking about the speed, not the appearance.
Yeah, go ahead and provide the statement. I think that would be nice, at least.
Okay, that's fine. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that.
I mean, it does make sense aesthetically, at least, because he does have the coat, the golden hair, extremely fast. I mean, Minato was revered for his speed, obviously. KCM1 alone is revered by his speed from Rikage and B. So, I mean, there's very similar facets that go in between the two of them. So, again, it correlates to the notion that he is like KCM1 rather than KCM2. Someone's confusion doesn't validate or prove his speed is as such.
I found it.
Myself. So right now, Shinobi's actually going about it a really good way because he's basically saying aesthetically it looks like exactly like Minato. It's Kakashi's blatant confusion, etc. Yada yada. Meaning this is an equal interpretation territory, whatever. They're really not going to go on with this. And basically what the reason why this works in a sense, because even though Ken is bringing up that they're talking about speed at that exact moment, to where Guy says, wow, what speed? And then Kakashi's like, Minato, like with a question mark or whatever. So even though it's a good way of how Ken's going about it, because that's what even I would do if I was arguing in favor for Minato, I'd be like, look, it's clearly talking about fucking speed. It doesn't say anything about how he looks or appearance, whatever, blah, blah, so where the fuck you getting that from? But technically, in Shinobi's defense, he brings it up in the visual aspect of the manga scan. It's showing the fucking cloak and everything that looks just like Minato's fucking cloak that he wears, the white cloak. It's all that, the hair, you name it. So it dead ass looks like Minato. So visually, and you name it, that is objective evidence in itself as well to why it's not actually just only correlating the speed. So
he actually could have refuted when Ken said KCM1 and KCM2 look almost the same. No, they don't. KCM1 has no cloak.
Yeah.
That's not correct. So he could have said no, it doesn't, because he had no cloak. And once he had the cloak and the hair more upward and more vertical, that's why he thought it was Minato. He could have said that, but he didn't mean that up. That actually would have proven more so that his aesthetic interpretation's more so correct.
Yeah.
Also,
unless Guy or Kakashi is saying wow, Naruto is just as fast as Minato now, right when he was in KCM2, then it's not even up a discussion for a debate anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Not a debate anymore.
Flat. but it doesn't say that. All it says is Guy says, "Wow, what speed?" And then Kakashi's like Minato, and it's blatantly clear that he's confused and whatever, blah blah. You know.
Yeah, and then Shinobi even says that his speed wasn't compared blatantly during that time, but it was compared blatantly by Killer Brain and Kage. They both said like, oh, he's doing
to to KCM1, you name it. And so that's what I'm saying. Like Shinobi brought all that up, and you name it, whatever, blah blah. So not only does Shinobi get like basically the equal interpretation part. But then with him bringing up those other reference points and all of them correlating to KCM1, if anything, I think Shinobi actually has this more stronger in a sense of slightly winning this whole KCM2 point with that scan. You know,
yeah, he's slightly.
In comparison, slightly, not massively or anything, but I would definitely say slightly. So
yeah,
because think about it this way: if the interpretation is equal and they both provide enough evidence to like try to substantiate that. And then next thing you know, fucking, what's it called? Then he brings up the whole KCM1 with Raikage and all those other reference points. That would further solidify the fact that the correct interpretation has to be that it's just the visual aesthetic of it and the confusion of the character, not actually talking about speed there. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Ken doesn't really give anything. If anything, I think what he starts saying next is that they just look the same or some shit. And like Jay said, that is not true at all. They do not look the same at all.
He could have brought that. Shinobi should have brought that up.
Yeah, he just let that go. Like I was like, what the fuck? When I first heard
they
that.
Don't. Yeah, they don't look the same. I don't know why. Yeah.
But let's continue.
The scan's a little hard to see, so give me 1 second so I can fix it for you. Okay, so there we go. So right here you see my guy being like, what? That's so fast. Then Kakashi being like, what, master? And they're like, no, that's Naruto. So like they're not talking about his appearance, they're talking about his speed. And not only that, my guy also like is apparent on how fast this guy is. So even if this is true, then even my guy thinks that like Minato's this fast.
So once again, this would all be perfect and work in Ken's favor if Shinobi didn't bring up the other refutation that he had recently. So if that wasn't the case, then this would actually be very strong for Ken. This could go through, you name it, whatever. But Shinobi did a good job in arguing it back and against to say why there's no way to know that it's talking about speed. And if anything, it's the contrary due to all the KCM1 shit. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, that's certainly an interpretation. Or you could just say, Minato again was revered for his speed. No one else can move at those speeds, at least beyond someone's comprehension at that certain time. And so it's only fair to assert that Naruto, even moving at speeds of KCM1 or above, would be referring to someone of Minato. Because, again, aesthetically, because of the cloak, the Hokage cloak, and just being fast in general. So this doesn't validate or prove Minato is KCM2. This is just someone's subjective belief that it may or may not be Minato.
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely subjective right now as we're speaking.
It is.
The only objectivity that we unfortunately do have is KCM1. That's it. And what Shinobi brought up, that's the only objective shit. So, like, it is what it is. Like, the only way you can be able to use subjective or more basically in the realm of possibility in favor over objective is if you have an abundance amount of fucking higher possibilities or further evidence to further collaborate that Minato definitely had to get stronger as the fourth Hokage, etc. Better yet, one example, bringing up a fucking team Minato did. You know what I mean? So, like, there's many ways you could actually be able to definitely substantiate what Ken is doing. There is a way to do that to actually then make it triumph over the objective evidence of KCM1 scaling when they're referring to Jonin Minato's days. But unfortunately, if Ken doesn't do that, there's just no way for this to go through. And the best way to do that is analyzing the Nine Tails incident very greatly and thoroughly, and also the new one manga shot from Team Minato.
That would give him a lot of ammo.
Yeah, if you do all that and have all that ammo, and then on top of it show that scan in the War Arc, you would definitely have your audience thinking that Minato is either KCM2 level, you know what I mean, or Madara and Hashirama level. And better yet, it makes sense for the KCM2 actually, because we literally see Edo and Madara fighting against KCM2 when they're equal to each other and shit. We see even Hashirama say like, wow, like when he gets all his chakra, he has almost as much as me, which is KCM2 as well. So like, there's definitely similarities in certain scaling factors that do correspond to Madara and Hashirama. And so then, meaning, therefore, it would make sense for Minato to have to be in that ballpark then, right? So that's all Ken has to do, but unfortunately, if he doesn't do that, it just doesn't work. So
yeah, exactly.
That would be true if this was the only thing I had. Like I said before, Naruto would be relative to like half the Nine Tails, and half the Nine Tails power, obviously half the Nine Tails. So together they make the full Nine Tails.
Which
Again,
iteration of
Minato has
Naruto?
like showings.
Which iteration?
The one that's training in the waterfall.
So KCM 1? Or Sage Mode, when he's actually training in the astral plane.
This man deadass said Waterfall Naruto is fucking half the power of the fucking night. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
I've been going to
Like, if that was the case, bro, I don't think he would have learned Sage Mode and then also acquired fucking KCM if he was already as strong as half the fucking Nine Tails.
Yeah, that would be no point.
Helped me a lot with.
And here we go, real fucking therapy with
jumbled
this fucking
together
Asian
mess of
bitch. Shut up.
I'm sorry, one last track.
You're referring to KCM 1 Naruto then?
No, I'm talking to KCM 2 Naruto in general. I don't think his base gets any stronger from the point where he's training to get Nine Tails later on.
Okay, so he doesn't admit Waterfall based Naruto is trash. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, you do realize that Naruto finally taps into the rest of Kurama's chakra and they become bonded, and so that's why he has like a
that would be.
And that's
that
why
would
it's
be
called KCM 2.
That's why I'm saying KCM 2 Naruto would be Naruto plus half the Nine Tails to equal the full Nine Tails. I wasn't saying.
See, that doesn't make sense though, because Ken just admitted verbatim that he thinks that there's no difference or anything, whatever, and that Naruto doesn't get stronger during like all the training in the waterfall and blah blah. And he doesn't ever say Sage Mode, so meaning he has to be talking about referring to base Naruto. But then as of now he's saying with Naruto's power and then utilizing Kuruma's power, he's equaling out to full Nine Tails. That doesn't make any. That fucking contradicts.
Yeah, and Shinobi could have pointed that out,
You
but
could have pointed that out, yeah.
yeah, he wasn't keeping track of the exact rhetoric he was using, it seemed.
Yeah, like if you actually pay, I'm not gonna rewind it, guys, but if you just click back on the video, 10 seconds or whatever, blah blah, Ken deadass says verbatim of how he feels about Naruto during that time, and then says with Naruto's power in that, like that makes no sense. Naruto, you would have to say, oh yeah, Naruto during that time is as strong as Kurama, okay, meaning therefore it makes sense for Naruto's power and Kurama combined to be the full, right? When he's in KCM 2, he didn't say it. He literally contradicted himself just now. So
Yeah.
KCM 1 was on the level. I'll say KCM 2.
On the level of what exactly?
The full
Of
Nine
Kurama?
Tails. Yeah, the full Nine Tails.
You're saying KCM 2 Naruto is equal to full power Kurama.
Yes, that's what I've been saying this entire time.
Okay, but again, I'm just not seeing how you're making that arbitrary
Because
calculation,
half
though.
the Nine Tails has half the Nine Tails power and all that. Because he is half of its being. If we say not Nine Tails, if we say Naruto is able to match that half of the Nine Tails in power, that means he's relative to half the Nine Tails. If we take both their powers together and combine them, that would be the full Nine Tails in power, because of Naruto's relativity to half.
Well, obviously Naruto gains strength. I mean, Turtle Island is one
Can
point
you
in his
prove that?
development. Well, yeah, I mean, he gets KCM 1.5, he gets KCM 2 after the training, so obviously he gets stronger, right?
That's just him getting more of the Nine Tails power. So he's just further and further getting to that Nine Tails mark. Can you prove like his
Well, he's
gets
also-
stronger or anything?
He's also learning how to like deal with the raw tangible stats. I mean, I remember even B, or I don't know if it was B, but someone says, "Oh yeah, he can move like him, but he doesn't have quite the finesse as Minato." So
yeah, it was Yamato that said that.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
still not like a defeater to my argument.
all I'm saying is he obviously does develop his reactions, synapses,
Yes.
his ability
And by
to
the time
utilize
he gets to KCM 2, I think he's on the relative of Minato then. But he's not till that point in time. And there's nothing that
Naruto-
you've done so far to argue against it.
Oh, I just have to. I mean, you haven't either, to be honest. I mean, there's no way to
I've
validate.
given you multiple times of the Minato being able to react and fight the Nine Tails. And I've given you the reason why Naruto and half Kurama should be relative to the full Nine Tails.
Well, obviously Naruto is. He has so much chakra that it's not fair to just essentially correlate his chakra plus Kurama with what Kurama would be. There's just no valid
I'm
answer.
not doing his chakra. I'm doing off his performance with half the Nine Tails.
That also didn't make sense, and Shinobi could have pointed that out what Ken just said there. Chakra does correlate to your fucking power, and if you're over here arguing that Naruto's power himself has to be half with the nine tails in order to equal to the full. That doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Sure, you're not saying directly it's chakra, but you're still saying Naruto's power, which corresponds to chakra. So.
Yeah, because when he references power and his whole like the whole foundation of his premise is this is not full Kurama, this is half, and what he means by half is half the chakra. So here he's like not consistent in his premise. He's saying, I'm not talking about chakra, but he literally was. Why are the reference the power of Kurama? Why would he reference half? We know that Minato sealed half of the chakra of Kurama inside of Naruto. So that is what he's referencing.
Yeah,
it seems like Shinobi didn't catch on to that. What he should have done and would have destroyed this premise is he should have reiterated. He would. This is what I would have said if I was debating. Can I say, listen, you've said half and full many times, reiterated many times in this debate. You're clearly referencing chakra. First of all, why would you say half and full if the only half and full proportions that we ever have referenced in this manga is chakra? So that is what you're referencing. You'd be contradicting yourself, so that would make you lose the point. Secondly, what I would have brought up, actually, what Shinobi should have brought up, which would have erased that, is because you are referencing that, I could simply say that Kakashi said that with Kurama you have 100 times more chakra than me. Without Kurama, you only have 4 times.
Yeah.
Which means that half of Kurama is 25 times more than
Literally.
Naruto. And he should have said, how is a fourth? Well, so we have 100 times more chakra than Kakashi with Kurama and Naruto. With just Naruto, it's 4 times. So are you implying that they have the same proportion of chakra, even though without Kurama he has 25% less, 25 times less chakra? You're incorrect, and that premise is gone. That's what he should have said. That would have been the perfect
genius.
refutation.
Absolutely genius. And for one, I actually knew that, but I just totally forgot about it. What's it called? And I actually even have those scans and everything. But yes, Jay is spitting absolutely facts. Like, we actually get quantification aspects with Naruto in comparison with half the Nine Tails. And that's just, base Naruto. So even if we give him Sagement, which is only a 10 times multiplier bare minimum, okay, that's still not fucking near the Nine Tails.
That'd still be, he'd have like 40 times the chakra, and that'd still be over less than twice as much. So yeah, he'd still lose the point in Sage Mode.
So no matter what, like, if Shinobi just went about it that way, and then also, once again, going back to you have to be talking about chakra, because let's be real, the whole fucking foundation of ninja is based upon humans using chakra to do fictional superhuman shit.
And that's what Ken's been saying the whole time. He keeps saying half and full. What else would you be referencing to? What do you mean by power? Like, the only thing that you're referencing is chakra. You're not referencing power.
Literally, bro.
And then he retracts that right now, but Shinobi didn't catch that. You should have caught that. But
so like, once again, you got to be really quick. You got to be really good at talking, and most important, like Jay just did, really know your shit. If you're going to be debating somebody, know your shit, bro. Come with the homework, be prepared, know what's going to be discussed, know what could potentially be brought up, have all them scans ready, you name it, because then otherwise all this shit goes out the window. And necessarily, this, instead of this being an hour and a 30-minute debate, this shit could have just been a fucking bare minimum 20 minutes or a 30-minute debate.
Exactly.
So it's like, you really got to be on it, and this is very, very extremely important. And that's just what you're working with. It's that fucking simple. But once again, that right there just makes all this shit out the fucking window.
Yeah, I would have erased it.
And now, and mind you, along with all the other things Jay has said and some things I have brought up as well, whatever, when we were saying in the beginning, that is literally pertaining to this entire fucking thing. Because for the first 30 or 40 minutes, it's literally just about this the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
So once again, even with all that as well, but with what Jay just brought up, that is blatant, like, just... There's no debating that. So
the premise would have been over with.
Yeah, you would have to prove that chakra levels don't define your power then, and good luck fucking proving that. That is extremely fucking absolutely absurd to even argue against. So but anyways, we'll continue moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to say that Minato can compact Kurama, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. But again, it doesn't validate his scaling.
Okay, I think I did. So, do you have any other problems with that part of the scaling, or do you want to move to the other half?
Real quick, because I'm just trying
to skip this because it's me.
Like, make sure I'm not getting lost in the process. And Jay,
went berserk that one time, and he's able to match the Nine Tails at that point in time as well.
You guys can listen to that as well, but all it really is me just re-clarifying, and with Jay as well, to make sure what was mainly being argued, and they both just admit to it or just add a little bit more. So.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Not just the power, but speed as well.
How's that validate?
so it has to be about speed, yada yada. Shinobi, do you have anything?
Life is
Oh,
full
fuck.
of special moments.
210.
Some you look forward to, and some.
Do you have anything more for that? Does that make more sense now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I said earlier already, like Minato obviously had help during the altercation with Kurama, so it wasn't just him going 1v1 essentially. And then the whole confusion or subjective belief thing, and then the proportionality, again, it's just abstract and not really coherent because obviously Naruto develops throughout the series beyond the Turtle Island training. So to disregard that would be, you know, not intuitively honest. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that, I suppose, and we can just go to my scaling. That's cool if you can.
Okay. Wait, do you have any other problems with the rest of my scaling? So you agree that like Pain's above Itachi then?
Fuck, dude.
I mean, I can move on.
That man pulled. So you agreed to?
Yeah, he's
fucking
trying
Pain
to
over
fucking get it.
Itachi.
Trying to do a gotcha moment. He's trying to win by technicality.
Yeah.
Agree then?
You're okay with agreeing that like
That's all I want
in
to
the
do.
circumstance where I get that, then my scaling goes through because Pain's just above Itachi.
Well, again, I'm refuting the Minato over Pain thing. So if that isn't really like substantiated, then there's no point moving on with the rest of the scaling.
I mean, I think it does matter. So if you don't want to tackle that part of my scaling, then I just goes through regardless.
Oh. Real quick, I almost forgot.
No, it
There was
doesn't.
another thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't go through. Like, you don't get to fucking choose when something goes. He just doesn't agree with it and leave it to the.
Yeah, no, because once again, if Minato is correlating to Pain and Itachi, right, because the whole KCM1 spectrum and everything, and if Shinobi did a good enough job with Minato being on par of that level, meaning upon that level, and meaning therefore that's why Nagato or Itachi would just still deal with him or come on top, then therefore that doesn't help you. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, he's like trying to insinuate, like, if you don't continue refuting me, then my scaling goes through. I'm like, no, he doesn't have to go in an infinite circular argument with you.
Yeah.
Like, if he wants to move on, he can move on. Like,
It's called, it's actually a common tactic Noodles uses. It's rabbit holes and shit, or going on upon shit that you don't have to necessarily engage with, as long as if it connects the dots and corresponds to something that's, you know, with that as well, then no, if you did a good enough job and provided plenty of enough evidence, there's no point of going circular in different fucking aspects. That doesn't make any
exactly.
sense.
It's just an infinite cycle.
Yeah.
To just cover real quick, the freaking then Ken also brought up like Pain struggling with half, and then you also brought up those stuff.
That's not even inferior to the Yellow Flash. And as we know with the right Kage,
This is with the new evidence.
If you're ready to move on though, or if you guys don't have anything to add, then we can keep moving forward. But if you do, then just keep rolling. I'm muting.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that Shinobi's good with the rest of my scaling before we move on to his.
I'm just gonna
I want
post
him
one
to get
more.
a fair shot at it.
I'm just gonna post one more scan to disregard the whole speed scaling thing.
I could have sworn we moved past that, but okay.
Well, you just asked me to if I have any other points, so.
I was talking about the other half of my scaling, but that's fine.
So this is obviously an adult iteration of Raikage. It literally says that he has speed that's not even inferior to the Yellow Flash. And as we know with the Raikage, when he faced KCM1 Naruto, he wasn't even going all out. He literally said he was testing him just to see if he's worthy enough of actually going into the war himself. So this would
I
just
think
mean
that's only travel speed. I don't think that's combat speed.
That shit was wild. That shit was crazy. When he said Raikage only scales to Casey and Naruto and travel, that was insane, bro. Like, if you deadass watch that entire interaction, it is literally Raikage in V1 only, remind you, okay, just bullying the fuck out of KCM Naruto and injuring him, and you name it, blah blah, and then Naruto keeps using like more and more levels of his KCM and tapping more into it, can't fucking do anything, and then Naruto refuses to listen to Raikage, so then Raikage gets pissed off, goes V2, and he's like, bitch, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you don't listen to me. And then that's when Naruto gets his resolve amp, basically, of like, you know, like, I gotta do this for my dad and my mom, and then fucking is able to tap into fucking, you know, Minato speed for that exact moment and dodge his fastest punch from Raikage.
Exactly.
You know, so like, and mind you, they're like going blow for blow, like it's combat, speed, reaction, travel, all that shit. It's everything, all stats. So that is
Yeah.
absolutely insane to say that's fucking travel only. That was crazy. And
Yeah,
Shinobi
he's
can
definitely trying
easily
to.
dismantle that, but I don't. He does a good job, but he could have done way better. Way
He
better.
could have. Yeah.
So, what were you saying though, Jay? My bad.
Yeah. The best way to refute that is just what the.
You're cutting in and out, by the way, Jay.
Am I cutting it out still?
No, you're good now. You're good now.
Okay. He literally said that what the Rikage iterated after the Naruto dodges is I used my fast punch and you're only the second one to ever dodge it. That's totally what he says. So it's definitely not travel speed if you're using your fastest punch.
Yeah,
You don't travel
you gotta
around with
react. that's like
Yeah.
that's like holding your punch out, right? You know what I mean? Just holding your arm out, punch, and just moving with your legs.
Yeah, it's like I guess the Raikage travels as fast as he punches. I didn't know that. So yeah, no, he could have won about it that way and would have easily won that point. But
it's blatantly, clearly reaction, combat, and travel because Naruto has to clearly react to it and move, travel. Okay, you know what I mean? And then in order to dodge the fucking punch. Now, to be fair, Naruto doesn't do any combat because he's not trying to fight the Raikage. He just wanted to dodge him and prove a point that he can. You know what I mean? But Naruto blatantly uses reaction and travel speed. And, of course, his side ups, you know what I mean? Like his fucking nerve transmission, you name it, has to also scale as well. And it did.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and it's actually the same exact shit, actually, by the way. It's like, his face is like super fucking close to Naruto's face and he teleports and moves.
Yeah.
So.
Travels. Okay, got you.
Yeah, even Shinobi was like, okay.
He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because the panel that you see right there is him constantly blocking Naruto, so that he can't go to the battlefield. So that wouldn't be him combating Naruto, just getting in the way.
That just contradicted. How the fuck does that make sense? He just said he's constantly blocking Naruto, so that wouldn't be combat speed. That is combat speed. That's combat and reaction.
And also, Naruto gets a resolve amp anyways.
Like the travel speed only would be Raikage moving along Naruto. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they were kind of going back and forth trying to, like, no, you can't get past me type shit, you know what I mean? Which that also happens as well. But Ken literally just said he was blocking Naruto was blocking Raikage's hits or whatever. So that's blatantly combat and reaction speed right there. Like, the fuck?
There's many ways it could have Shinobi could have attacked better. Say,
like Ken's over here contradicting himself. Like,
battle speed and not combat speed.
Wait. Now he's saying that's battle speed but not combat speed. That also doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay.
Well, he's able to tag Naruto on several occasions while going full speed.
Naruto dodges him. Like he
dodges him
like
once.
him towards the end.
Yeah, so Shinobi just said it exactly what he needed to say right there and then. He says he hits him multiple times, and then Naruto only dodges once. There you go.
Yeah.
He dodges him once with the resolve amp to get to the war.
That would still be him like getting stronger and still like mastering that level of the Night Tail. So even that like disproves the idea of this combat anyway.
Well, like I said earlier, the Raikage literally said he was testing him, so it doesn't really matter if he like outmaneuvered him at the end. The Raikage wasn't going all out, and was even self-admitted as well.
So if he's not going all out, then you can't prove that the Raikage just isn't Casey at 2 level as well.
Where did Ken get that shit from?
Yeah, he's referencing back to like the.
Yeah, like fuck. Shinobi never ever said anything regarding Raikage being KCM2 now. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's trying to like imply that his scaling went through.
No, like.
Which again, that was a contentious round, so now I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Immortals of Avium. Summon your power.
What the fuck is that shit?
Stop.
What the fuck?
The Raikage was arbitrarily holding back, I do agree, but they were relative throughout their encounter, at least most of the time. And there was a test.
V1, remind you. I wish Shinobi Event also put that in there.
Yeah, he should have said that, and then he should have said that the Raikage said he used his fastest. I actually would have him, but he didn't.
Yeah,
so
like Shinobi could have showed so much. So once again, if he just pulled that fight and got the chapter and just showed all of it, it would have been blatant. Like, that's it. Just absolutely just not even contended. You know what I mean, or whatever. But either way, Shinobi still substantiated and still provides certain reference points and et cetera, to where this blatantly went in favor for Shinobi. I'm sorry, right here and now, Shinobi's definitely winning this point. Ken is contradicting himself a lot, and then also going to another point that made no sense, even corresponding to what they're discussing. So
yeah.
Like Ken did a decent job, but once again, like this, in my opinion, was very strong in Shinobi's favor for here. So because Shinobi was able to prove that it's clearly not just travel speed, that it's combat and everything you name it, and he was dealing with him for the most part while holding back arbitrarily, you name it, and then also dodges his fastest speed in the end. Like that's also
what Ken could have done to win is he could have used less colloquial terms like combat and travel speed, because depending on the viewer, they're going to misinterpret. It's like travel versus combat have different semantical meanings. Like travel means that's like you're literally when you're just traveling across terrain. Combat's like that. What he should have said is he used the wrong choice of words. I'd say. He didn't use the best rhetoric in that when trying to substantiate his premise. I'd say for sure. So
absolutely,
that also was against him. So.
He really maximized the amount of Naruto's capabilities. He really wanted to test like what he's really capable of. So,
but he wasn't fighting Naruto. He was just acting as a roadblock, getting in the way. So that wouldn't be combat speed. That would just be travel speed. And this is with a Naruto who doesn't fully know how to control this Nine Tails power. So it's like irrelevant. Especially since Minato just has beats this part of the data book anyway. So.
What data book statements are those?
I didn't say he has any data book statements. I said he has feats to disprove this data book statement, that being the stuff that I had provided earlier.
And what feats are those?
Him being able to match flow with the Nine Tails multiple.
Now it's circular again.
Yeah, going back to the same shit.
Again. Okay, cool. Alright, well, the data book is an unbiased piece of literature. There's multiple instances, like I said earlier.
Right here at this point, I'm just going to mark this really quick for you guys. This is where Shinobi really starts to take it, and more, in my opinion, where it gets slightly stronger for Shinobi, boiling down to whether if Minato is KCM 2 or KCM 1. This right here, just pay attention, listen closely what Shinobi brings up as evidence, the data book, you name it, how he argues it, etc. And then basically Ken's interpretations, and then once it's kind of over with, then me and Jay will give our thoughts on it. But this is where I really do personally believe it now finally slightly goes over to Shinobi's favor. There was certain other separate points where I did believe as well with certain things, but this right here, this is just blatantly the cherry on the top. Like, there's no way. Like, or bare minimum, if you still think this wasn't enough for some reason, it's at least stalemated. Bare minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Heard that KCM1 Naruto is relative to Minato. You can't prove that Minato is above KCM1. From Jonin to Hokage.
The data book only gives you information up to that point in time.
Regardless, though, this is showing an adult Raikage.
That means the data book can change like on a whim, so it's not like the end all be all. Like one of the data book statements was like,
This isn't my like closer. It's just supplementary evidence.
Oh no, I know. I'm just combating your evidence. Like there's multiple times within the data book where information changes depending on what is half speaking being. Like Obito throughout the majority of the time isn't called Obito. He's just the masked man. Or like the data book saying like Tamari can like blow away the universe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now we're getting false equivalences, and then
that's false equivalency. Where Shinobi refuted the point where it's up until a point in time. He said, "Well, it's showing a like older adult Raikage," so he kind of took it there. Yeah, he refuted that point there because it does. So that actually would the premise that Ken used would actually help Shinobi, because he said it's talking about at a point in time. It's like, yeah, it's showing adult Raikage. Like, you're right.
Yeah. So basically, and that would further solidify the fact that, like, mind you, that's Raikage way in the future time too. Yeah, he's still within that speed parameters, you name it. So meaning, therefore, the same would apply for Minato. That's basically what he's going to do with it.
And it says yellow, and it says yellow flash in the data book, and the last yellow flash that was Kage.
Yeah.
Shinobi should have said all that, what I just said, and what it really, really took in it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but here we go and see what Shinobi has to say and what he does and can rock.
The data book itself can only be used if it can be proven within it, and I don't think this is proven within the actual series.
Of course, I do agree there are hyperbolic statements in the data, of course, but the whole KCM1 scaling by Raikage and B, and then this supplementary evidence to back up that notion, doesn't stray too far from the track. Essentially, it all correlates with one another, and so it doesn't deem the statement in question hyperbolic. It actually is just providing additional information, if anything.
I don't think that's true because once again, DNA would only know about the Joni Minato before he became Hokage. And that's once again, this ends up not being true with A anyway.
That's also not true, and Shinobi could have done a good job attacking that because Raikage specifically mentions and references Minato during the Nine Tails incident, and then says like, why is he not fucking here now, and where's his power now, and blah blah, where's the child of prophecy, and yada yada yada, like he died to the Nine Tails, etc etc. So he definitely knew about the fourth Hokage Minato, and you name it, etc. He even mentions and references him. So just saying, but putting that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because once again, he shows feats on powers like KCM to Naruto.
The Raikage does? Oh no, you mean Minato?
No, I'm Minato. Yeah.
Well, obviously Minato and KCM2 Naruto had to like travel in tandem to be like an effort force, if you will. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're both going all out their full speeds, and then that's usually what they are at their max capacity. You know.
Fair. That just means you have no way of proving how close to like A is like anyone. So.
I mean,
well, that's not true because he just provided the fucking data book
Yeah,
statement that states it literally. It says not
I think that data book.
inferior.
I think that data book like that data book proposition won him this part because he said this is adult Raikage we're talking about.
Literally.
So Ken Rock saying I think this, I think that doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
data book holds more weight than his objective lens. So
Yeah, it's just the least likely possibility, basically, what Ken's trying to provide multiple times, while Shinobi's objective, blatant data book evidence that corresponds with everything else he has just been arguing, and he's just further substantiating and reinforcing his notion, basically, with his data book, which is blatant objective evidence. It, like, just says verbatim, like, the Raikage shows, at old Raikage, you name it, and showing that like he fought the Yellow Flash multiple times and he was not inferior, whatever, blah blah yada yada. You know what I mean? So like it's gonna be really hard to still kind of beat around the bush around and give fucking subjective possibility arguments and shit. You know?
exactly. Yeah.
I can get him to at least case him with Naruto at the beginning of the war, which is realistic to Minato on several occasions.
Yeah, we literally see the fucking fight and everything, which they already talked about.
Minato just shows better feats later. Well, at this point, we're going in circles. So
yeah, exactly.
Did you want to combat my Do you want to combat the pain versus Itachi stuff, or do you want to let that go through and just go to your scaling?
I mean, if you want to, we can knock it out real quick. What's your scaling for pain above Itachi? I just don't want to go on too far of a tangent with this because, like, I don't want it to,
Oh no, you're fine. That's why.
All right, so now that I'm about to get into the pain and Itachi shit, whatever you name it. What's it called? Basically, I'm actually gonna stop this video here. I'm gonna do actually separate parts. This way it's not crazy long either. So I'm gonna do separate parts, but this will be for part 1, and it'll either just be 2 parts or 3 parts bare minimum. That's it. But what's it called? But so this is gonna be the longest, anyways, which is why this recording is already at an hour basically on the dot. And the reason why is because this was the most contentious part of the video. Like the first 20 something to 30 minutes in was the most contentious, and I believe like the next 20 minutes as well, or the next like 15 minutes is still along the same bullshit, the circular whatever, but then they go a little bit more extra with the whole pain and Itachi shit. But either way, this was the main like juicy part of it, so that's why it was going to take the longest. Everything else is a lot more straightforward, a lot more one-sided in my opinion with Shinobi, and then or just really weird shit, and then it's that simple. So
yeah, so essentially what it came down to, it was contentious, but Shinobi had the empirical evidence behind his premise, while Ken Rock was battling against it. It was like empirical evidence, not just manga feats in dialogue, but also actual data book statements. And the last sort of tangent he went on, where it's like, the manga empirical evidence actually correlates with the data book very well, which is why my premise holds more weight than yours, and why I'm most likely correct. So that's why I thought he won very, very slightly. It was mostly because of the empirical evidence. As far as their substantiation, both substantiated pretty well.
Yep.
I just think the empirical evidence is what gave Shinobi the slight nod. To be quite honest, the empirical evidence is arguably the best way to establish a premise. when you need evidence for it.
You need to be as strong as possible, right? So get some blatant verbatim statements or blatant feats or data books that correspond to what you're arguing. Like, it's that fucking simple. If you don't do that and you just keep going up, upon A to B to C or whatever, it's not really going to go through for you, bro. You're more likely going to be losing that debate scenario, So
exactly.
it's just kind of
him trying. If you listen closely, he's like put that in there. So luckily, Shinobi didn't say I agree or anything. Yes, he did, but he just kept saying like I don't want to go move on. Yeah,
exactly.
A sneaky little tactic that you can try to utilize.
Very sneaky, yeah.
Like, so if you want to stop, that means you agree, right? It's like, no, I just don't want to go on a tangent. It's like, come on, man, you're really gonna try to win by?
Yeah, it's like, come on, you're better than that. Earn your shit, yeah.
You gotta earn that shit.
What's it called? So, but yeah, we'll leave this video here for part 1, and we'll continue on for the next parts, and it'll be like a little series we're doing real quick. Because once again, we really wanted to fully dissect this, and like I said, this is going to be the longest part of the debate period.
Yeah, it's the longest debate in general.
And it's basically what you're working with, and we really wanted to take it piece by piece for at least the most contentious shit. Because once again, it was still like crazy to me that everybody was saying Ken took it. You know what I mean? Or especially even Spencer coming along and saying he got it. Like just analyzing this portion of the debate, Shinobi definitely slightly won over it.
It was very, very close, but I think the empirical evidence is questionable.
Yeah.
People will say, well, substantiation, like, well, he had just empirical evidence for substantiation. Ken didn't.
Yeah, so, literally. You see Ken providing a data book that says, oh, Naruto is just as strong as half Kurama or this or that, and then get this and this and that. He didn't bring none of that shit, bro, to the table.
It was all just his own subjective lens. So that's why Shinobi took it, to be honest.
So, like, there's no way, from just seeing this video, guys, part 1 of us reacting and judging this debate one last time, there's no fucking conceivable way you're still going to be on the Ken train. If you still are, then I don't know what to fucking tell you. And I mean, maybe I'll entertain you one day and voice chat it and fucking debate you on it, and I don't know, who knows, but that's a maybe, but either way, you guys take it easy, enjoy, comment your thoughts down below who you think is winning so far during part 1. And like I said, we'll come out with part 2 or maybe part 3 if it comes to that. I highly doubt it. But as always, guys, you take it easy. Make sure like, comment your thoughts down below. Subscribe for more content. Subscribe to get on the channel. Check out Jay. Subscribe to him as well. Don't be tripping. And see you guys until next time. Be safe.
Peace out, y'all.